Hello and welcome to another episode of Authentic English for Curious Learners. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the part 1 question of dreams and ambitions and the part 2 question of our perfect job in the future. I think you're going to learn something about both me and Miss Minia. Also, I think these questions are a little difficult. Remember to check out the description below for both the transcript to this episode as well as a list of useful vocabulary you can use as you're building and practicing your own answers. Now, let's get to the show. Hello and welcome to another episode of Authentic English for Curious Learners. Hello, Miss Minia.
Hello, Mr. Kevin. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Thank you for joining us this week. Today we're going to be talking about the part 1 topic of dreams and ambitions. So you'll get to know more about me and Miss Minia. And the part 2 topic of a perfect job we would like to have in the future. So, I don't know. Are we changing careers again? Make sure you check out the description for our vocabulary of the week and the transcript so that you can listen along and read.
Are you ambitious, Kevin?
What does ambitious mean, Miss Minia?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it entails being goal-oriented and doing whatever it takes to get to that goal?
Yes, and I think the second part is important. Like a ladder climber, right? You want to get ahead. I'm not saying that you would do bad things if you're ambitious, but I think if you're an ambitious person, you're willing to make sacrifices to get where you want to be. Maybe that's sacrifices of time or money, or it could be, we would have someone who's... Exactly. We could have someone who's overly ambitious, right? And they sacrifice too much. Yeah, I think you've got to be careful with this word. It can be used in a lot of different ways. But it's definitely more than being goal-oriented.
Okay. They have to be determined as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, willing to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
So, am I ambitious? It's a hard question. Because, especially coming from America, I don't think anyone wants to say they're not ambitious. Because we're trained to be ambitious, right? That work is the most important thing. So yes, I would say I'm ambitious. I want certain things, and I want to work for them, and I'll make sacrifices to get them. Yes, I'm ambitious.
Okay.
How about you?
Kudos to you for being honest. It was hard to admit. I could see that.
It is hard. It's a double-edged sword. I love Vietnam and Vietnamese culture, and Vietnamese culture seems to be much more relaxed than the United States culture. It's one thing that I am unable to adopt because I'm just not wired that way. I am wired to work and to want more. Always. No matter what you have, I feel like I always want more. And I realize that's not a good thing, but I can't get away from it.
I don't know, Kevin. I've seen a lot of people who are ambitious in Vietnam as well.
Oh,
because I am one of them.
Yeah. Oh, are you? Yeah, there's definitely ambitious people in Vietnam. I think culturally it's a little more relaxed than the United States. But yes.
Okay, which is a great thing, because as an ambitious person, I am actually trying to revisit that ambition and trying to look at life differently these days.
In a more relaxed way?
Yes, I think I've mentioned it in one of our previous episodes that I started to be ambitious since early ages. Like nobody told me, but I just decided that I would be focusing on studies and working on my career and stuff and sacrifice relationships. And I just decided that as a kid. And I did exactly that. I think I told everyone in a different episode that I just didn't start any relationships, even though I kept having crushes on people. I just like powered through and I got where I wanted
Because you were
to.
focused on your goals.
Yes. And it has detrimental effects on your health and life,
It
definitely.
does. It does. And there's sacrifices that come with that.
And so to answer your question of like how what I'm looking at these days is I am starting to see that there's more to life than just aiming at things. Like I'm learning to schedule a time for relaxation and having fun, and I'm like sort of relearning to do that.
Why the shift toward more relaxing, do you think?
Oh, it's a long story, Kevin.
We only
Do
have a half
you?
hour, so
Yeah, do you
we
want to?
can't, yeah.
Yeah, maybe if one of the questions touches that, I will get into it.
Okay. I'll tell you, like, I feel like I've changed. Now, I'm older than you, right? So I'll turn 47 in 2 weeks from today. And I feel that my life is very different from where I thought it would be when I was 18 years old, when I wanted to go out and conquer the world. And I'm quite happy.
Mm,
So, as I've gotten older, kind of like what you said, I feel like there's more to it. That people are never going to be satisfied with what they get. We just aren't. We're not like that. So it's important. What would we say? It's not about getting what you want. It's about wanting what you have.
reminds me of something I read recently about like how to be happier. One of the things was I think I just clicked on a random suggested article on my phone. One of the things that was really cool about it was we, like you said, we will always want more. And once we get there, we will want something bigger than that.
Mm.
So a good idea to do is to keep lowering those thresholds. As in, instead of like, let's say this trip you went somewhere nice in your country, and then the next trip you want to go abroad. But then you will continue wanting to go to a different place and like more expensive place. Instead, you have to like rewire your brain to appreciate what you have.
Mm.
So then the next time you will be happy going somewhere near you, something like that.
Mm.
And I'm not sure if this is true, but a close friend of mine recently told me that Buffett, how do you
Warren
pronounce it?
Buffett, yeah.
So Warren Buffett, being a rich guy he is,
Yeah, one of the richest in the world.
doesn't really take extravagant vacations or anything. He just like uh,
No, he's
spends his
known
time.
for driving an old car. He's known for living in the same house he's lived in since like the 60s. I mean,
So see, I
he's one of the
think
richest people in the world.
he does that. I think he realizes that we can never be satisfied. So you just like come back to the basics.
Yeah.
And I think he's been able to do that.
That's a really interesting point. Yeah, because there's a lot of joy in walking across the street for coffee and, relaxing for a little bit. There's a lot of niceness to that. You don't have to jet to Tokyo. You don't have to, do these things. Or like I go to the beach in the morning and it's just nice. I read something the other day, or I was watching a video the other day about these goals that you have, kind of what you're talking about, where, I'm going to graduate, then I'm going to get married, then I'm going to get a good job. And it's always about achieving something. And by the time you hit middle age, pretty much everything's been achieved that you're supposed to do. So then it becomes about doing things just because you enjoy doing them, like going to the
Mhm.
beach. There's really no reason I go to the beach other than it's really nice to take a walk on the beach. I'm not training for Ironman. I'm not doing anything crazy. I like to go to the beach and sit down in the water or stretch on the beach and meditate for a little bit. And I just really enjoy it. It's one of the best parts of my day. And that's it. There's no ambition there. There's nothing other than just enjoying it. And I'm trying to find more of that as I get older.
So would you say you are less ambitious now than when you were younger?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's because when I moved to Vietnam, I gave up a lot of stuff, and I'm happier for giving it up or
Oh,
happier after giving it up. So it kind of proved to be a lie. All the stuff that I was told that I was supposed to have would make me happy. Well, I don't have that anymore, and I'm happier. So then
hmm.
it must not be very important.
Like those super expensive pair of shoes.
Yes, like my super expensive pair of shoes, which I still have. Which I still have.
Okay, so they are important.
They are important. It was a lifetime purchase. But like stuff like that, right? Like stuff like that. It's fine. What about when you were
So
a
what was
kid? Yeah,
your,
what was your
yeah,
childhood dream? Let me ask you.
I guess it was the time I decided that I would focus on studies and my
Hmm.
career. I guess my dream was just like to be able to be independent and be able to take care of myself in the future. And in the mind of a kid, I guess it was like having a good job,
Hmm.
and if I wanted to get married, have a family. Later on, I did had a more specific dream
Hmm.
because I guess one of the teachers asked us to write about it. It was to become an English teacher.
Really?
Yeah, I wrote that and then I just did that.
So you achieved it.
Yeah. I mean, when I wrote it, I didn't really think a lot about it,
Hmm.
As later I realized that children just write the jobs they see around them, and that's not a
Mm.
lot. What about you?
I always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to
Oh,
travel. I mean, I used to when I was in. I remember going to the bookstore when I was like in sixth and seventh grade, and I would buy travel books to read. Like, oh, if you go to India, this is what you need to do. And I was always planning trips in my life. Of course, when I was a child, that people did not travel internationally, or at least my family didn't. So like the first international trip I took, I think I was, oh gosh, 26 maybe.
wow.
I remember getting my passport for the first time, but even traveling within the United States, seeing some of the cities there. So I think while I haven't traveled as much as I thought I would, I've been to quite a few places. And again, as I get older, I realize that there's a lot to see in your neighborhood. There's a lot to see close to you. You don't have to go to some exotic place to have a really good trip, to meet interesting people and to see interesting things. So I guess maybe my definition of travel has widened what I consider travel now. But yeah, I think I've achieved it. I've seen a lot of interesting places, and I've met a lot of interesting people. And obviously, I live in Vietnam for 10 years now, 11 years.
So are you the kind of person who sticks to dreams? I think it's clear that you've achieved them,
I
right? So I guess,
have, yeah. I would say I'm a kind of person with a lot of interest. So I may be a little lazy when it comes to some of them. Like one of my dreams is to speak Vietnamese. During COVID, I set a goal of B1 certificate in Vietnamese. And I can tell you, I am still very far away from a B1 because I get lazy. Or maybe
hmm.
lazy is the wrong word. Maybe it's easy for me to get distracted. I have a lot of
Well,
dreams. I achieve some of them. Sometimes I get distracted.
maybe I don't remember some of them now, but most of the dreams I've had, I achieved.
Well, you're an English teacher. You're married.
Yes, I wanted to get married. I wanted to have a good husband,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to be independent. So I guess, so this is the point where I sort of achieved everything I wanted. And some people might also say manifested it because as a
Yes.
kid, you just like had that idea. And then later it happened because
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't like plan things deliberately. I just went. I just like worked and I didn't think a lot.
Mm-hmm. And it's little by
Um,
little, right? These things don't happen overnight.
yeah, and I think so it really works like manifestation because I sort of thought of it and then I never had to look back, and I got there.
Mm-hmm.
So after I've achieved everything I wanted, I sort of like took a break.
To enjoy, perhaps. I mean, you could take a break. You've achieved dreams, right? Take a break. Take a break and enjoy what you've worked so hard to get.
Well, but as an ambitious person, I don't know how to take a break. So now I'm learning how to do that.
I
That's for
understand.
one. And on the other hand, I realized that everything you want always comes with something, with a price. And only when you get there, you realize that there are stuff you have to deal with. There are things you deal with. And so now I kind of don't want to be as ambitious anymore because I realized that everything comes with a price. So I guess I need to reread this book by Mark Manson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've read it. The Subtle Art of Not Giving
Yeah.
an F.
Yeah, I'm not getting that beep.
I recently saw him talk about something else, but he mentioned one of the key points from his book is that you have to be able to be happy doing the worst things, the bad, unpleasant things that come with what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I have to like now I just want to enjoy life and enjoy the fruits of my labor and look for things that I'm willing to the bad things that I'm willing to do that will get me things that are nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Kind of. What we would say, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? You've got to pay.
Mm,
And
hmm
I do think that when you're young, you don't quite recognize that it's a zero-sum game. Not to mix metaphors, but if you spend time here, you can't spend time here. You spend energy over here, there's less energy to spend over here. It is about prioritizing
Yeah,
what's important.
yeah.
And sometimes that's hard, and sometimes we get our priorities mixed up.
hmm
But I think it comes with age and experience. But getting back kind of what you said, talking about, manifesting things and that step-by-step process, that is a good lesson for our English students, right? You're not going to wake up one day and be C1. You have to
Nope.
put in the work. I talked to a woman last night, and honestly, I didn't think her English was bad. I could understand her, but there was vocabulary problems and grammar problems and some pronunciation problems. And she was very frustrated. And I told her, you're doing it. This is what you're doing, and you're better than you were 2 weeks ago. You're better than you were 3 months ago. It is a slow iteration, a process, iterative process, and you get better. And I'm sure Vietnamese is the same way. You're never done learning. But life would be so boring if you're done learning. But it's a matter of setting on your feet on the path and just keep walking toward these dreams.
Yeah, and I guess just don't think too much about it. Just trust the process. Just spend time every day on it. It's like when you play a sport. You just play every day and you start being better.
Right,
That's the same with language.
right. And do find those things that help you learn that are enjoyable to you, right? If you like to read about sports, okay, start reading about sports in English. If you like to listen to, gossip about movies, okay, find a movie podcast. It's like there are things we can do to study that don't seem like studying. And again, trust the process. You do get better over time. And there's millions and millions and millions and millions of non-native English speakers. There's more non-native English speakers than native English speakers. And those people are not smarter than you. They were exactly where you are one time. We can do it. Maybe I should take that lesson from my Vietnamese too.
I was thinking about it this whole conversation.
Well, let's move on to part 2. So the question we're working this week is describe your perfect job you would like to have in the future. This is tough because we're both teachers. Do we say that our perfect job is to be a teacher?
Since I love to tell the truth, and lying makes me uncomfortable, and so I would do the same thing in the test. I would just say, to be honest, I feel like I'm already in my perfect job. But if we want to talk about the future, there would still be things I would love to happen for my job. For example, so I've had been teaching for a long time, so I know the perks and the challenges of teaching. And in order to teach, I've done a lot of practice and also got a degree in teaching. And especially now that I've got a lot of classes of my own, I feel like I'm realizing more how this job could have been more ideal for me.
Mm,
What I'm trying to say is a lot of people are in a rush to get an English certificate, even though they don't necessarily need it or use it
mm-hmm,
in their real life. So their need is a bit of a superficial one,
mm-hmm.
and it's driven by external forces or like fear of missing out or something. And so the process of teaching them is not really enjoyable to me, and their learning is not enjoyable to them either. So I would love to be able to have more students who are genuinely interested in learning a language.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, and with those students, I would feel like I would be making real change and contributing real value to the society. Other than that, I would love to not having to deal with certain things that bother me right now. Like, again, it's about student motivation and their limits in terms of time or effort. So I guess in, in a perfect world, my job as a teacher would be to teach people who love learning the language
Mm-hmm.
and people who have enough time and dedication for it. And I know this is just a dream job that might not really exist because life is not perfect.
No, and everyone is pulled in many different directions, it seems now, especially students. Um, and there's only so much time and energy, you know. I do understand what you mean. There's nothing more dispiriting than teaching someone who does not want to be there, than trying to teach someone who does not want to be there.
Or trying to teach somebody who needs the results super
Mm-hmm.
quickly, but they are not willing to give you the time or effort. Like
Mm-hmm.
they want a magic pill.
Mm-hmm. And that, as we
It
talked
doesn't
about,
exist.
that is not the way language learning works. You have to do the work.
What about you? What is your perfect job that
What
you would like to
is
have in the future?
You know what? I'm like you. I love teaching. I love writing English. I love reading. I love speaking, public speaking. I love presentations. I love everything about using English. I've always loved working with English, and so now I get to teach it, and I'm very happy with that. And I'm also my own boss, and I'm very happy with that. But if I've done a lot of jobs, and one of the jobs that I used to do was I worked part time as a librarian, a reference librarian, at a law library. And
Mm.
again, I love English, so it fits in very nicely to be surrounded by books. And it was also kind of teaching as well because I could help people find resources that they need. I could teach them how to use things. I could explain, what they were looking at. I really enjoyed it. So I think ideally like a dream society where when I was little I would go to the library and the librarian would help me, and I don't know how it is anymore. If I think librarians are still very important, but I think they are viewed as less needed now which is not true because everyone has the internet. Librarians are still important. They do so much good work, and libraries are so important. So maybe if I was still in the United States and I could do some type of librarian / teaching job, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. As long as if I can't do that, I'm perfectly happy doing this until I retire. This job that I'm doing right now. But yeah, I do miss libraries, and I miss working in libraries. I always really enjoyed that.
Did you also enjoy like perusing the books in the library when there were
Perusing
no
the
other
books, yes,
things?
definitely, because you would have free time, right? So if I was helping put something back or walking someone to a resource, it's kind of like you discover something that you didn't even know. We had millions of books,
Mm.
so you come across this very weird book that you didn't even know was there. It was a lot of fun.
You mentioned you were a reference librarian. Is that different from a normal librarian?
A reference librarian. Yeah, I would say so because I would have people come in with very specific questions. Like I said, it was a law library, right? So I was a lawyer as well.
Oh.
So they would come in with very specific questions, looking for very specific resources. So it was about, okay, this is your problem. This is what you need to look at, or this is the way the law works in my state. So these are the resources we have for you. I wasn't exactly
Mm.
practicing law, but I was showing them how to find what they needed because they were working without a lawyer when they went to court or something like that. So I would say it was a little more specialized than a general librarian. But there are things that a
Mm.
general librarian did that I couldn't do. It was a fun. I did that for quite a few years actually, just on the weekends. But it was nice. I helped students out. I helped
Mhm.
members of the public when they could get in. Yeah. Is salary the most important thing when people choose a job?
I was looking at that question
It's
at
always
the
the
same
interesting
time.
one, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Ooh, I think it depends on the financial situation of the person
Mm,
because if you can't make if you can't make your ends meet,
mm,
the first thing you need to take care of is your basic need.
mm,
So if you are in a situation that requires financial stability, you will definitely consider salary the most important
mm,
criteria when choosing a job. Like the best salary you can get for your ability, right?
mm,
But if you are not worried about putting a shelter over your head or daily need for food and drinks, you will probably people would probably look for the job itself, like whether they enjoy it or not,
That's a
or
good point.
whether
Depends
the
on where you're coming from.
environment,
Mm.
yeah, depend, yeah. So I guess it depends on your situation.
Yeah, I'll go with that as well. We would say poor beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, but then once you have a stable situation, people will naturally want to
Right.
look for something they want to do, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like now that I say that, I'm thinking of older generations who stuck to their jobs for until they retire. Like,
It's just
uh,
what you did,
I don't
right?
know. Yeah. I guess they never questioned it.
My grandpa always said if you were enjoying yourself, you wouldn't know that you were at work.
So
So,
that was like the mindset, like I suppose, like they didn't think it
yes.
was necessary.
Yes, I mean my grandpa he would tell stories about walking on the train tracks looking for pieces of coal during the depression because they didn't have any coal to burn to keep warm. And so I think when you come out of being so poor like that, it's just not important to you. You want a stable job that pays well, and even if you don't like it,
Mm,
it pays the bills and helps you raise a family. So I do think
mm,
it's a mindset thing. I don't. I mean, I've worked jobs that I've hated, and there's very few things that I think are as miserable as that. And luckily, like you said, because I worked those jobs, I'm in a position now where I can do something I really love.
I guess now, yeah, I think part of it is that for us is that we've earned that option of choosing what we want to do. And I'm sure we both had to work jobs that we didn't like, that we had to sacrifice
Again, yeah, that's
our
right.
time and relationships and
Mental health.
whether we liked the job or not.
Well, thank you very much for joining me this week.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
A reminder
As
to our
always.
students to check out the description for the transcript and vocabulary for this week. Again, there were some good idioms we used. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments what you think. Any questions? I know that there are new questions appearing on the prediction sites. So if there's any question that you want answered, leave it in the comments below, and we'll take a look at it in the future episodes. So thank you very much, Miss Minia. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye.